I just realized that I was missing a bat. I don't know if that fell during the episode or was already on the floor, but I have rescued him from the floor and he's back. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 155 of the Love in Stitches podcast. We're back after a 1-week break because of Rhinebeck. And before I go any further, I do want to tell you that there are twists and turns spoilers for twists and turns from the West Knits Mystery Knit Along in this episode, but I will give you a second warning before I show that project, just in case you are trying to stay spoiler free if you are not caught up with the current clue, which is clue 3. That's the one that I'm on this episode. Okay, let's talk about the weather. So today it is like, it's so cool. It is like foggy outside. It looks like it's raining, but it's not. When you go outside, it's not raining. It's just like crazy fog, super dense. It looks like we're in a cloud. And this morning I was wearing my long summer cardigan by Hugo, which is a project I completed, I want to say last year, and I wear it all the time. It's so cozy. I'll have the project page linked down below. But once I get back inside, it's just a little too warm. I think it's going to be in like the 60s today, which means perfect for a light sweater outside. But for whatever reason, our apartment, I guess all the windows and stuff kind of holds on to heat. So we've been either keeping our air conditioning on or opening up a window, which has been really, really nice. Okay, what else do I want to share with you in this intro here? I think that's actually everything. I have a stash update in this episode because it's the last episode of October. I'm going to catch you up on my Rhinebeck sweaters and how that went. And yeah, I just have lots to share today. So let's get started. Hopefully you won't be able to tell throughout this episode, but my left eye is driving me nuts. I was going to say crazy, but it is bothering me. It is twitching like underneath and I don't know why. I just woke up this morning and it feels, you know, like when you wake up in the morning and it's like you feel like heavy eyelids and stuff. So I don't know what's going on with it. It's also extremely bright with like the clouds and everything. I've had to lower the shade a little bit. I as soon as I sat down, I just sneezed. You know, like when you go outside on a bright day and it's sunny. Well, it's cloudy today and it's so bright, it made me sneeze. All things that you probably didn't really need to know, but there you go. That's what's going on with me today, in case you're like, what the heck is happening there? Okay, I want to do a quick update about my Rhinebeck sweaters. I have shared these both before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. I'm not going to talk about the yarn. All those details are in the Ravelry project pages linked down below. But I do want to talk about wearability because I hadn't actually worn these out and about in the last episode, and I feel like that's pretty important to know when deciding if you want to make a pattern or not. So first up, let's talk about the Alpenglow 1. If you've been following all of the episodes, you know that I have had quite a journey with this and it is not over. I wore this on the Saturday of Rhinebeck along with hundreds of other people and I really got to test out the length of it. And I have a picture here so you can see what it looks like on. And I just decided that it's not quite long enough. I didn't get the chance to add length to it before Rhinebeck. I was trying to stay caught up on my West Knits MCal, finish my other Rhinebeck sweater. I did get to make repairs to the neck. Everything else is according to pattern, but I just didn't get the chance to do that. I'm not going to put this on or anything. So I do have plans in the future to lengthen this, but my plan, instead of unknitting all of this, I am going to put in some lifelines and I'm going to cut this off, knit it longer, I think maybe 1 or 2 more repeats of this part, and then reattach it with a duplicate stitch. The reason I want to do it that way is that this corrugated ribbing and this bind off in particular, it's so dark, I know you can't really see, but it's that tubular 2x2, oh come on camera, what are you doing? I don't know, I think it's just too dark for the camera to really, there we go. Yeah. It took many, many hours. I would estimate something like maybe 10 hours. And I think it's worth trying something else first before I just take this all out. So if this plan doesn't work to like cut it apart and duplicate stitch it back together, then I will just have to reknit this part. And oh well, at least I tried something that should hopefully shave off many hours of time. So this sweater is folded up and it's gone back into my projects bin for now. I've got plenty of yarn left, so I'm not worried about that. I have a whole nother ball of that main color, but I don't even think I'm gonna need to crack into that, thankfully. So there we go. It was wearable, I wore it, but I wanna make changes to it, and so I am going to. Probably not until I finish my West Knits MCAL, just because I want to stay caught up on that, but hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. So I will share that when it happens. Okay, my second, hold on, got like a fuzz or something, making my eye itch. What is going on with this eye today? Okay, this is my second Rhinebeck sweater, the Nurtured by Andrea Mowry, and I didn't need to make any changes after wearing this, but I did say in the last episode that the arms were very, very tight. I also had not blocked it yet. So I'm happy to report that after blocking and wearing, so it wasn't just like perfect after blocking, but after blocking and wearing, the arms, while still very fitted, have become much more comfortable. They don't feel too tight or restrictive or anything like that. So I am happy to report that. I do think the arms are still rather skinny, especially because I don't think I have like super thick arms. I mean, maybe a little bit. For my bust size, maybe that proportion is a little bit different, but I have heard lots of people say that it is a little small. So if you're making this pattern, it's a great pattern, but you may need to adjust for the arm. Or when you go to block it, what I did is I kind of, how am I gonna show this? When I went to block it, I kind of gave it like a little tug, a little tug, a little tug, a little tug like this. And when it's wet, you will actually like see where you've pulled out like this. I mean, I'm not pulling hard, just a little tug. And then I kind of like shook it like this so that those little wavy lines where I pulled laid out, but I didn't like stretch it this way. See, it stretches a lot that way. So tug, 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 little shake so there's not any wavy lines, and it was just laid flat. And that's all I needed to do to give myself a little more leeway width-wise than lengthwise, and now it is perfect. So I really enjoyed wearing this sweater. My friend Amy and I, Amy knit the same sweater with the opposite yin yang yarn, which I'm going to show here in just a second because I have something to say about that too. But we just got so many compliments and it was so fun. We got to go back to the Loop booth at Rhinebeck and talk to the owner, and we weren't wearing our sweaters that day that we went in there, but we did get to tell her like how much we love them, and she saw our picture on Instagram. So really, really happy with the sweater. This one's going back into my finished objects drawer. I like to wear my sweaters a handful of times before I actually wash them. I would say I probably don't actually wash them in a season sometimes, because if I don't get like sweaty or spill on them, wool is amazing and it just doesn't hold on to odors or smells or like get as smelly and saturated as other things. Now, if I wear it like a bunch, then I would, but it's fine. It's just going back into the drawer, even though I wore it all day at Rhinebeck. So I have no problem with that. Okay, I did want to talk about what I'm doing with leftover yarn. So this yarn is already out of stash, at least for me. When a project starts, all that yarn comes out of stash. It's no longer stash yarn, it's project yarn. But what do you do when you're done? So I first wanted to wear this and make sure it was actually done. Like, are the sleeves long enough? Is the body long enough? And I wore it for a full day. It's great, I love it. I no longer need to hang on to this yarn. So there was another skein that had like a few yards. I just tossed that in the trash. This one though, that's a pretty significant amount. That was about 22 grams, which is a fifth of the skein. And then this one I didn't even have to touch. So what I did is I posted this on my Love and Stitches membership Discord group, which the membership is closed right now, but it will be open again in January. But we have a whole bunch of knitters and crocheters on there, and we have a destash thread. So anywhere you can destash, whether it's like Ravel or your Instagram or something, I posted this on the destash and I said, hey, you know, I've got a full skein, it's this many yards, and this. You can make a hat, you can make a cowl, let me know if you want it. And then I just ship it to somebody, and it's so easy. I love being able to do this because it's making a decision right away, which I think is like a good practice for me, especially since I'm like working on having no stash. It feels very like good to like wrap up a project, like the project is done, the photo is taken, the ends are woven in, and the leftover yarn, it's not going to sit here and guilt me and say like, oh, make something else. Like, I'm not going to make something else with this. I'm not going to make a matching hat. And this is just me. This is just things I've learned about myself this past year with my stash journey. So it's so much better for me to just go ahead and let it go. And if somebody else is excited about it or wants to use it, or maybe they even have some of this and they need an extra skein, then I love being able to just gift it to them, send it to them, and it is off to better use than sitting collecting dust in my stash. So already I posted it this morning and I already had somebody say they were interested in it. So I'm gonna spend maybe $5 to $6 on shipping to send it to them. And now it's out of my life. This is just what works for me. And I know not everyone may have access to a group where it's easy to like de-stash your things, but I don't feel guilty about taking things like this to a donation center either. Maybe you have another place you can take it, like, man, when I was a teacher, it was so easy to get rid of yarn because I felt really good knowing that I could give it to some students who wouldn't be able to, go out and make purchases on their own because they were elementary school age. And so I could give it to them. And anyway, look for opportunities to let go of your yarn if you're no longer using it. You'll feel really, really good. At least that's my experience, to let somebody else take it and use it for a better purpose than you may have for it sitting in your stash. So that's the story of those two Rhinebeck sweaters. Now, next I am going to show you my West Knits MCAL twists and turns. So if you do not want to see clue 3, well, clues 1, 2, and 3, then you should skip ahead to the timestamp that I'm going to put down below for the next project. Raise your hand if you have been personally victimized by the twists and turns shawl. Okay, not really. That was definitely dramatic, but seriously, this is your last chance to look away before I show the shawl. I am feeling really, really good this week, but I feel like telling you that doesn't include the whole story of what has gone on over the past 2 weeks, or rather really the past 3 weeks, because this shawl is a lot of knitting. And so just telling you about this last week and how great clue 3 has been, it's just not fair because this has been a struggle for me. I've been kind of thinking a lot about it, like, is it a fun struggle? Am I enjoying it? Is it a challenge? I think a challenge is like a fun struggle, right? You like set a goal and you're like working towards it and it like feels good to knock it off, although you have to like really be intentional and think and make maybe some sacrifices, like not clean your house like I did, or, sacrifice a few hours of sleep. And I'm like, is this fun or am I feeling obligated? And so far, really, it's mostly been fun. But I have a lot more thoughts, and also a lot more in the moment thoughts that I'm going to be sharing next week when I share the vlog that I have been creating for clues 1 and 2. I don't know if you could hear that, but there's some really loud motorcycles outside. Okay, so let me walk you through where we have gone since the last time I showed this on the podcast. I've been really trying not to show anything on Instagram. I have been feeling like I've shared a lot because I've been filming a vlog, but all that's going to be coming later, so kind of out of order. So here we go. This is Twists and Turns by Stephen West. So the last thing you saw was, I don't even think it was all of this. I don't even remember. Was I done with clue 1? Now I cannot recall, because when we left for Rhinebeck, it was the day after clue 2 came out, I think. So yeah, you may have only seen clue 1. So here we go. Here's clue 1. I've got all my braids and everything done. Seriously, I never want to do this kind of section again. It is really cool looking, but it was tedious. So if you're still here in clue 1, push through because the rest of the knitting is a lot more enjoyable. Now, clue 2 was almost as much knitting, I think, as clue 1, not quite. I've been tracking my hours too, and I think it took me like 34 hours for clue 1 and like 28 or something for clue 2. So still a ton of knitting, but it's much more enjoyable knitting. So this is clue 2 with these really cool short row wedges and twisted stitches. You make these wings on both sides, and we've still got live stitches here. I've got mine on one of my circular needle cables with just the little like stoppers at the end. Then still clue 2, you do this cable section, which we knew cables were coming, right? For twists and turns. And I did really enjoy this section, although it just doesn't, it almost looks like out of place where this is so modern, modular, and then it's like these gorgeous cables, right? Okay, so that brings us up to this past week. I didn't finish clue 2 before clue 3 came out. I almost said on time, but I'm trying to reframe my thinking into that I just want to finish by 1 week after the MCAL. Luckily, this clue 3 has been a lot smaller, and it's allowed me the opportunity to catch up, as it were. But yeah, it's been a lot. So I finished clue 2 on Friday. Yeah, Friday, I think. So Saturday morning, 2 days after the clue 3 came out, is when I started clue 3. And I am on track right now to finish it before clue 4 comes out, which feels really, really good. So here's clue 3. It is this really fun. I really have liked this section. Really skinny, narrow, tiny cable, twisted, wavy deal. If you're thinking this looks wild, you're right. It looks really weird. I started it on the other side. This is another week where we do 2 of the same like mirrored sections. And I think I'm like halfway through. So I've got the rest of today and tomorrow to finish this clue. But there's a bonus this week. And I don't know if I've ever done a bonus that's like a true bonus, like one that you don't have to do. Not that one year where like the bonus clue came out and then you had to do it in order to go on to the next section. That was awful. Somebody said that they thought it was going to happen because this week's clue was so much smaller, and I was like, please no, I just need to catch up. I need to win. And luckily, so far at least, I guess I haven't checked. Well, no, I checked my email already today, so I would think it's not going to come out like the day before, right? Anyway, the bonus, that's actually a bonus, is an embellishment on the I-cord section. So I've actually done a couple. I haven't done all of them yet. It's pretty wild. You make these little I-cords and then you feed them through your cables. And I think it looks pretty cool. I am kind of wishing I'd picked a more like pop color for my accent, because I think my main color is more of a pop, right? Because my main color is bright pink. So you can't really like pop off of that, I think. I do like my gray, like I like it overall, but there's a part of me that was like, what about like a turquoise or like a neon green? Although I think that this is more me. So, you know, I don't know. I still do like it. So I'm gonna go through and make I-cords for all of these cables on this side and the other side. And again, I have today and tomorrow to finish up this crazy strip along with the I-cords, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. If I have to like add the I-cords later on, that's also fine too. Like I'm not super worried about that. So here's my prediction, the one that you didn't ask for. I think that this is going to become either something that we like weave into a section that's going to come off of these live stitches, or it's going to be almost like an applied border, and we're going to have like short rows, like more short rows that incorporate a stitch from this really long strip here along with these stitches. And overall, this is going to be just a really long and skinny shawl. I think we're going to have to still do something here because these are just like left open. I don't know. I think that this next week is going to be a lot of knitting, so I really do want to have everything caught up and be ready like Thursday. I don't have any plans for the weekend, so I can do a lot of knitting, which will feel really, really good, and just keep working and trucking towards my goal of finishing this by 1 week after the clue comes out. So that's my goal. Stay tuned for more on this when I have my first vlog come out next week. I did want to share too just how much yarn I have left, because I think this shows you just how much knitting that we have been doing. So if you're working on this and you're feeling like down on yourself, it's so much knitting. And then this one is about, I don't know, not quite halfway used up. It is pretty darn wild. Oh, I don't know. Was there anything else to share? I feel like I had one more thing to share about this. Possibly not. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about the MCAL. What will happen will happen. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I really want to finish it. Not just because, definitely because I want to complete it in that like 4-week time frame, but also because I am so excited to work on something different. It's been like shawl central for the last few weeks, and I am missing working on sweaters, and I have some sweaters quantities in my stash that I am really ready to get into and work on for November. I'm gonna do some charity knitting or crocheting in November too, so I'm just like ready to do something else. So for me, that means I'm gonna power through and finish the shawl and get it done in that timeline. All right, that's enough of this. Time for it to be safe to come back and not get any spoilers, and on to the next project. No more twists and turns. It's time to talk about my last whip. So I've really been working on the shawl almost exclusively, but I do have one other project on the side right now, and that is this hat. So I'm working on a hat for Kent, my husband Kent, and I am using this really fun yarn that we got at DFW Fiber Fest in September. It is from Charming You, and the color is called, I think it's called Escalante. But Kent picked it out. Escalante, focus there. There you go. Kent picked it out because it reminded him of the Miami Dolphins, which is the NFL team that he enjoys. It's not really showing, like, it's a bright color, like bright orange. To me, I thought it was like koi, like the fish or Nemo or something like that, but it is really cute. So I am just making basically a 2x2 ribbed hat. I've kind of adapted it from this pattern that was a free pattern that's no longer on Ravelry. So all of the notes are in my project page if you want to, project page. All of the notes are in my project page if you want to follow that, but it's only like for one size, Kent's size. This has also worked for my brothers too. But I started out with a 2x2 tubular ribbing. I always follow Andrea Mowry's pattern or tutorial, and I'm just plugging along. And then when I get to the crown, I'll be doing some decreases that incorporate the 2x2 ribbing, which just really finishes it off nicely. And I will make this long enough that he can kind of fold up the brim. I have, in attempts to break up the pulling of this yarn, which is just the blips of color, I have split the skein in half, and I'm working one from the inside and one from the outside. I think this is working. I mean, it's still pulling in a sense, but it's not doing what another hat that I had in a totally different yarn. So I don't even know if it's the yarn or this technique, but it is keeping like these orange blips kind of more stripy, which is good, which is fine. Instead of on the other hat, it was like a big color section that just, it didn't really look good. So I need to check in with Kent, make sure he likes how it's looking before I keep going, but I think it's going really, really well. So what I'm doing, you can see I've got the yarns both attached, is I am doing helical knitting. So it's just 1x1 stripes with 2 balls of yarn, which are the same color. So you can't even tell it's striping, but you work in pattern around to 3 stitches before that next yarn, and then you slip 3 and then you pick up the yarn and you work it. It's super easy. It's a little hard when you first start because it doesn't make sense, but once you get it down, it's really easy to do and great for one row stripes or just like blending together two yarns like I'm doing. Okay, I'm running out of words. It's only been 1 week, but I feel like it's been longer since I podcasted. So that's it. I've been working on the shawl. I've been working on the hat over these past 2 weeks. And yeah, I am like ready to start some new projects, but I'm going to hold off. I'm going to stay focused and start some new ones in November. But I do want to show you a couple of acquisitions that I have recently purchased. So they are from Rhinebeck. So I'm just going to go through them quickly because you may have already seen them in my Rhinebeck videos. But I got this cool new project bag. It's really nice and big. It's got this pink canvas bottom, which I love. This is hand painted fabric. It's got these really big handles, so you can kind of, carry it like this, whatever. But they also come down and just hang really nicely. The top has a drawstring that you can close like this, but if you're not using it, it folds inside and just kind of stays out of the way, which I like a lot. And sorry, this bag is from Jenkins, and I got this at Woolen Folk last weekend at Rhinebeck. Then I was able to snag at Cake Palooza, which is also a Rhinebeck event, a Black Pearl Magic tool binder. So this is for interchangeable needles. So I can put my interchangeable needles in here, the cords in the middle, slip a pattern or like other accessories into here, and then it all zips up and is so cute. Uh-oh, whoops, I caught the... There we go. So cute. So I need to get organized and put my things into that. And the last thing is I got 2 skeins of yarn. So this one is for Kent. It is a neon green from Cake Wool, and it is called Caution. Yeah, but it's definitely neon green. And he wants this in black for another hat. In case you skipped a few episodes, I was working on a Dallas Stars, a green hat for Kent. Then we found the Dolphins yarn that I just showed in Texas, and he's like, no, I want that one first. So I started working on this hat. Then we're at Cake Palooza last weekend, and he's like, I really want to get some yarn today for a Dallas Stars neon green hat. Like, what does this guy think? I'm just gonna be a machine making hats for him? I don't know. Anyway, we need to look for some black yarn in a similar base. It's a 80% superwash BFL, 20% nylon. I guess I should probably look and see if Cake has any black yarn, because I don't think they had any then, but if they do, I can just order some. Last thing, I got my hands on some Sorella yarn. I've never had Sorella yarn or used Sorella yarn before. This is the Autumn in New York colorway on their Sparkle. It's gold stellina, and it is so soft and so pretty. I really like this, but it's a little more muted than my typical palette. So I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna hang on to it or use it as a giveaway in my membership. So it's probably gonna get given away, but like I'm kind of coveting it first. Like buying yarn is so fun, and being able to buy yarn is such a privilege. I just love it, and being able to share it is like part of that joy for me right now. So this will probably become a giveaway, but I don't know. I really do like this color. So we'll see. So that's what I got at Rhinebeck. One bag. I feel like that's not everything. Maybe it is. A bag, a tool binder, and 2 skeins of yarn. And actually, none of this was purchased at Rhinebeck. It was all at adjacent events, which is pretty wild. So, speaking of acquisitions, it's time to do our monthly stash update. Let's do it. I just realized that I was missing a bat. I don't know if that fell during the episode or was already on the floor, but I have rescued him from the floor and he's back. Okay, it's the end of October, which means it's time to do a stash update. it's technically not exactly the end of October. We've still got a few more days, but the chances of me starting anything new or making any stash changes are very, very slim. So I feel good about closing things out, and if anything changes, I'll just go back and make an edit. So I like to keep track of my stash in a notebook. I use this notebook for way more than just yarn. It's just a notebook. I don't like hang on to this as a trophy or anything. Like when I finish a notebook, it goes like into storage and I don't look at it again, but it is really nice to have for month over month things. So let's talk about the end of September. At the end of September, I had 17 skeins in my stash, and stash for me is anything that is an intact skein that has not been used and is not going to be used in a project. As soon as I start a project, everything for that project comes out of stash. So 17 that were not in use. I brought in 2 skeins of yarn, the ones that I just showed, the cake wool and the Sorella yarn. So 2 came in, and I took out for projects 6 skeins of yarn. So 5 of them went into my twist and turns shawl, and the other one is for the hat, both of which I just showed in this episode. So it's been a very like, not stagnant month, but like kind of a stagnant month where not a lot of flowing and things are happening. Last month was a little bit crazier. I got rid of a lot of stuff. So 17 at the end of September plus 2, and then 6 out for a net of -4, which leaves me with 13 skeins here at the end of October. And I went and looked at my stash and it all checks out. The numbers are good. I was really diligent this month. Every time something went out, every time something went in, I wrote it down, even though some of these that came in may or may not go out next month as a prize or something. That is what is happening in the stash. So I'm gonna save my future plans for the next podcast because I definitely have some big plans for November as far as projects and stash go, because for me, it's the last month of the year before I really stop working on normal projects and I go into my Advent knitting and crochet. So this November is a big one because I have 13 skeins left in my stash, and I would like to get rid of all of them. And sure, I could just cast on a bunch of things and they would all technically be out of stash, but that's also not really a way that I like to operate, that I've learned about myself this year, is having too many projects is too overwhelming. So I need to make a good strategy for November. So I think I will hold that for next week and let you see my plans then. Since it's been a few weeks since I podcasted, I have 3 new videos. So the first are 2 Rhinebeck videos. In part 1, I'm showing the whole first day, which was Friday. We traveled up to Rhinebeck, New York. We went to Cake Palooza. We went to Woolen Folk. We had dinner with friends, and that's all in day 1. Oh, we also stayed in this really cute little cabin, so you definitely need to go check that out. Then the second video includes the actual New York Sheep and Wool Festival, which is Rhinebeck, and it includes day 1 and day 2. But I really tried to show Rhinebeck through the lens of like, what would I need to know if I'm going there for the first time? And then also just kind of capturing like the atmosphere. I don't show as much mini booths and like shopping things as I do in the first video. It's more about like, what else can you do? What kind of food is there? What kind of events are happening? So I really hope you enjoy both of those videos, whether you went to Rhinebeck or are never going to get the chance to go to Rhinebeck. Hopefully they're enjoyable for you in any way. And then our newest video just came out this morning. It is about our day trip to Sleepy Hollow, New York. So there's a little bit of knitting, there's a yarn shop tour, there is a bunch of food, and then there's a really, really cool pumpkin festival. So anyway, I've shared maybe too much. Here, you know what? Here's a little sneak peek to see if this video is going to be something for you. So go check out that video. Kent and I had so much fun making it. It was such a fun day. And if you live in the New York area or New York City area, it's a really easy train to get up to Tarrytown and then go walk over to Sleepy Hollow. And we super enjoyed it. So definitely I would recommend that video and that trip. Now coming up for the next 2 weeks, at least that's the plan right now, I'm going to be sharing vlogs all about the Twists and Turns shawl. So it's going to be a little different than my normal vlogs where I'm kind of like talking about many different things, and it's going to be focused on the shawl itself, all the ups and downs that I've had throughout. Like literally I'm sitting down almost daily and talking about it or reacting to the news of the new clue and what's coming up. So I think that will be a fun one for people either working on the shawl or not working on the shawl, but you definitely should not watch it if you don't want to see what the shawl looks like. I'm planning to have this in 2 parts, so clues 1 and 2 will be next week, and then 3 and 4 will be the following week. At least that's the plan right now. We'll see, but stay tuned and look out for that. Okay, last thing, our next big event coming up is Sockmas. So Sockmas is going to start with a cast-on party on YouTube on November 25th, which is a Friday. So the day after Thanksgiving, November 25th, mark your calendars. I can't remember, I think it's a noon cast on. I have it on the info page, which I'll have down below, but we're gonna be casting on that day. You can cast on as early as like midnight the night before if you want, or wait to cast on with us during the live, but it's gonna be a fun make along. It's really casual, just knit a pair of socks over 3 weeks and you're good. Of course, there's ways to get like bonuses and everything, but all that's detailed in the page, in the info page. So last week, all of the exclusive products for Sockmas went on sale, and we have 2 small businesses, Mandy's Makings and White Rose Fiber Company. Both of them sold out immediately, like within 10 minutes, which is so amazing, but also makes it a little hard if you wanted to get those exclusive items. So we have a date already for a second chance to get the Sockmas exclusive yarns. It is Friday, October 28th. At 11 a.m. So if you're watching this on Thursday, that is tomorrow. You're definitely going to want to make sure you're there and ready at 11 a.m. Eastern time to grab that yarn, get signed into Etsy, get signed into PayPal, whatever you need to do so that you are ready for that second chance yarn. We are tentatively going to have more bags, but it's a lot harder to get more special fabric and make those bags than it is to have bare yarn. I am saying this as somebody that does neither, but it makes logistical sense to me. So stay tuned. I will let you know when I hear from Courtney if there will be more bags for sale. So even if you don't have that exclusive product, you can still participate in Sockmas. It's not at all required in order to participate. So please join along with us and check out all the information down below. Then there's going to be one more fun thing that I am calling the holiday bonus package. And it is going to be a series of events that you can purchase starting November 11th. We're going to have 5 really fun events. Some will be on Zoom and some will be on YouTube Live, but not the public channel, the private channel. If you did Sockmas this past year, you may be familiar with doing these private events, and they are really, really fun. These are kind of a crossover of Sockmas and Vlogmas, so we're gonna do some things that are more sock oriented and some things that are just literally like fun out and about in New York City that I'm gonna be live filming and showing, and it's going to be a really, really great time. The package is also going to include a Discord group where all throughout November, from November 11th through the end of December, you will have a place to share and chat about socks, share and chat about your Advent projects or your Advent yarn, and it's just going to be a really fun place to be. More information will be coming out about that really soon. I'll have more to share next week, and the signups for that will open on November 11th. All right, that's all for news. Let's move on to the next segment. I'm like tired just looking at what's gone on over the past 2 weeks. If my energy seems a little low today, this is definitely why. I mean, it's been wild how long it's taken me to recover from a busy weekend, but here's what's been going on. So 2 weeks ago, on Friday, we left for Rhinebeck super early in the morning, and we have been go, go, go until then, just about until this weekend. So Friday through Sunday, we were at Rhinebeck. Then we came home, and on Monday and Tuesday, we spent pretty much all day. And when I say all day, I mean like from the time we got up to when we went to bed, with breaks in between, like working on the 2 Rhinebeck videos and getting those edited and voiceovers and all of those things and ready to share. And it was really, really fun, but it was also very exhausting, and we were kind of like in a fog after the weekend. So by the time we got to Wednesday of last week, we took a break and we had doctor's appointments. So if you haven't gone to the doctor since before the pandemic, make an appointment because it's going to take a while to get in. We had not been in so long, and I know this is terrible, but now we've gone, and now we have many more appointments to go to and things to do, like blood work this week and all kinds of things. But yeah, Kent and I both decided, you know what, we need to sit down and like pick a doctor here in New York and go to the doctor. And we did that a few months ago, and this was the earliest that we could get in. So we went to our appointments, took a break from work on Wednesday. Well, I think we still kind of worked, but anyway, it was a little bit of a break. And then Thursday, we went out of town again. We went on an adventure. That was our Sleepy Hollow adventure. It was so fun, but I'm telling you, getting out of the house that day was hard. We had so many other things going on, and we were like running late. We literally ran to Grand Central Station and barely made our train, but it was worth it. We had a really fun day. We got back super late. Friday was like a catch-up admin day, and then all this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I just didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to knit. I cleaned a lot. I think that's a theme here, like go, 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 and then literally hunker down at home, clean, knit, catch up on things. But I did get the chance to catch up on a lot this weekend. Got a lot of stuff cleaned up. Our apartment finally looks good. There's not dog hair everywhere. It's not a mess anymore. That was really great. And I got caught up on my MCal. Started the next clue. That was really nice. Did a little bit of like, I don't know, working on my stash and just other things, you know, just the things that like when things are going, it's hard to take the time to stop and do, but it feels really good once you do it. It was that kind of weekend, and that was really nice. One other thing we did is on Sunday, we had an at-home date. Kent had gone to the grocery store. He's usually our cooking person. He plans the menu, cooks, and all of that. And so he went to the grocery store, and he was like, okay, you need to go into the bedroom and not come out for a little while. I have a date for us. Like, okay. So I come out, and he has made this tea party. Literally, he's made tea and all of these finger sandwiches that were so good. And we sat and we started a new show, and we had our tea, and it was just really fun. It was a lunch date. I mean, it was a Sunday lunch date. It made something that could have just been ordinary to something that was very special. So that was really, really fun. It was a great weekend. It felt really good. I also have been getting finally back to reading. So the past like 3 weeks, I've been working on either my Rhinebeck sweaters, trying to get them finished up, or the West Knits MCal. And I've needed that morning knitting time, or I've told myself that I needed that morning knitting time to work on that. So I've been like watching YouTube videos in the morning while I work on something because I couldn't read and knit. And I realized that I really missed that reading time. First of all, I wasn't going through books like I was before, and I was kind of losing interest in the books because I wasn't reading them at a pace. Like, it was taking me 3-4 weeks to finish a book. Nothing wrong with that. It was just like I was wanting to read more, and that was the perfect time to do it. It was 30 minutes in the morning while I had my breakfast and my coffee and did a little bit of simple knitting. And so this Monday I was like, you know what? It's coming back. I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna work on that hat for Kent because it's not getting knit on otherwise because we're not going anywhere. So I'm gonna work on the hat, and sure enough, you know, 5 or 6 rows at a time, I'm knocking off a couple inches on that hat. So I finally finished a book. I finished The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is the second of the Inheritance Games series. So I'm looking forward to reading the third and I think final book. I just got it from the library, like as a digital loan. And so I'd already started a second book, of course, or another book. So I'm gonna wait till I finish this one and then I'll go back and read that final book. But I'm currently reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn, Hugo. And this has been on my list to read for a while. Oh, it's by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I know a lot of people really, really like this book. And I was like, I've read a book from Taylor Jenkins Reid before. And I looked up her most popular books and found that I had read Daisy Jones and the Six, I think earlier this year, maybe last year. And you know, I liked the book, but it was a little bit like not the kind of books I always like to read. For me, Daisy Jones and the Six was like, it's dark without being dark enough to be spooky. Like I really liked Verity. I was thinking, oh, this is the same author as Verity, which it's not, it's Colleen Hoover. And I really liked Verity, even though it's dark. But I was like, okay, Daisy Jones and the Six, it was just kind of like one of those stories that is a flat line to me. Like the line is, if interest is the bottom, 0 interest, the line is high, the interest is high, but it's just like flat. Like the story just goes and goes and goes and then it ends and you're like, what? That's how I felt about Daisy Jones and the Six. So I'm hoping that The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is not this way. It's a little bit the same writing style, but it's okay. So far, I'm interested. I'm already like 25% of the way through the book after reading it for only 2 days. So I'm liking it, but I will keep you posted. Not that you need to worry about how I feel about books to read them or not, but just in case you were curious. Okay, we've also been watching a lot of TV because we spent all weekend pretty much at home, but we've been watching some Halloween movies. So within the Love and Stitches membership, we sometimes do movie nights, and so we did 2 Halloween movies. The first one we watched was Vampires versus the Bronx, which is a Netflix original. It was cute. If you're not into scary movies, but you like something that's kind of like the young adult version, the young adult novel version of a movie, I think you'll like Vampires versus the Bronx. It was really cute. And then we also watched Fear Street Part 1, which is definitely a scary movie. I think it's like a slasher film it said teen scream. I don't know. I'm not really into scary movies. It did scare me. It made me jump a lot, but I liked it enough. There was enough of a story that I want to watch Part 2 and Part 3. So those are on my list now. That was also a Netflix movie. And then the last thing is we started a Netflix series called Daybreak. It is about zombies. It's very silly. It's like the way that it's filmed is very different. So if you like, oh my gosh, what's that movie with, well, that's not helpful at all. Never mind. Comparison, not there. But anyway, check out the trailer and see if you would like Daybreak. Kent and I have really been enjoying it. It's become like our lunchtime show that we watch, 30-minute show while we have lunch, and it's been really, really good. All right, let's wrap up this episode. So weekly wins. I have 2 kind of lighthearted, silly wins this week. The first one is I'm really proud of myself for being on track with the West Knits MCAL. Not that that's the most important thing in the world, but it does feel really, really good. It makes me enjoy the knitting more. I don't know, it just does. If I get too far behind, then I don't really want to work on it. I don't know what that says about me, but anyway, I'm counting it as a win that I am now on track and hope to stay on track throughout the remainder of the MCAL. We're almost to the end, so keep trucking if you're also working on it. The second thing, and this is really small, again, when you have hard weeks, just find something that you can be proud of yourself for, and I am proud of myself for this. I have, for 3 days in a row, done laundry and put it away immediately. Not left clothes out, not left them in the dryer, and that is a big deal, especially when our house was like destroyed after being gone and out of town and so busy with work. And I've also not gone to bed with dirty dishes in the sink. And Kent's been cooking a lot. He's the cook, he cooks, and then I clean. And it's so tempting to just go to bed with some things soaking in the sink, but I've said, no, I'm gonna just wash them before I go to bed. and it's been a really great feeling. So if you're one of those people who already does this as part of your everyday habits, then you're thinking, well, that's kind of silly, Natalie. But if you're somebody that, that's really hard for, then you understand. And you can pick anything for your weekly wins. Those are my rules. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this week's episode, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.